Rain pounds against shattered glass. Elias Ward wakes in the wreckage of his car, air thick with smoke and silence. His heartbeat feels too loud, too human, too temporary. He remembers the headlights, the scream, the sound of his own breath breaking. Then nothing. Now, everything is still. The street around him glows with ambulance lights that never arrive. He looks down at his trembling hands, unsure if they belong to him. In the reflection of the cracked windshield, another face blinks back. Familiar yet wrong. A woman's voice whispers through the static of a dying radio. "You weren't supposed to come back." His chest tightens. He can't tell if it's fear or truth. He steps out, barefoot on broken glass, searching for proof that he's alive. But the night answers only with echoing silence, and one unbearable thought. If I survived death, what part of me didn't? Morning creeps in through gray clouds, painting the world in colorless light. Elias walks along the coastal edge, his clothes stiff from rain and salt. Every sound feels too sharp. The crash of waves, the hum of unseen traffic, the echo of footsteps that aren't his. He keeps seeing the woman's reflection in every puddle, every glass pane. His memories blur like fogged windows, faces half remembered, moments misaligned. He finds himself at the city overlook, where the ocean breathes heavy against the rocks below. The air smells of rust and storms. He whispers to the empty sea, "Was I meant to die?" And for a moment, the wind answers in her voice, "You did!" That night, Elias dreams of a corridor filled with doors, each marked with a word. Hope, memory, self, truth. One door glows faintly at the end, the one labeled meaning. He opens it, and a rush of cold air drags him into blinding white. Voices rise, thousands of them, speaking all at once, each one his own. He wakes gasping, sitting upright on the couch in his small apartment, the sound of the ocean replaced by the hum of electricity. On the table beside him lies his hospital bracelet, still wet, still pulsing faintly with light. He whispers, "I didn't walk away from that crash, did I?" Elias returns to the hospital, searching for his admission record. The receptionist's eyes glaze as she types his name, then frowns. No file. No record of you admitted last night. He feels the air tight. The corridor behind her bends slightly, like heat distortion. A doctor passes by, glancing at him twice as if trying to remember where he's seen that face before. Elias grips the counter to stay grounded, his breath shallow. "I was here," he insists. But the woman only stares at him, voice trembling as she whispers, "You shouldn't be." That evening, Elias sits on a bench overlooking the sea once more. The tide rises higher than he remembers. He holds the torn photograph he found at the crash site, tracing the missing face with his thumb. The wind carries faint laughter, familiar, tender, impossible. Across the water, faint lights shimmer in patterns, like signals. He closes his eyes, feeling the world tilt, as though something waits beneath the surface, watching, remembering. The woman's voice returns, softer this time, almost kind. "You keep asking why you lived. Maybe the better question is, who did?" The next morning, Elias finds himself standing outside the Neurology Research Center, though he doesn't remember walking there. A poster on the glass doors reads, "Dr. Sarah Lynn. Exploring consciousness beyond death." The words pull at him like gravity. Inside, he's surrounded by the hum of machines and the quiet rhythm of sterile order. Dr. Lynn greets him with a calm, analytical gaze, clipboard in hand. Her voice carries authority and compassion in equal measure. "You survived clinical death," she says softly. "You might still be crossing back." Elias's eyes flicker with fear and curiosity. Crossing back from where? She only smiles faintly, as if the question itself were the key. Dr. Lynn attaches electrodes to Elias's temples, her movements precise and methodical. She asks him to recall the moment of the crash. As he speaks, his voice breaks, and the monitors begin to spike erratically. Images flood his mind: water, fire, the whisper of a name he cannot place. He feels as though he's watching someone else's death, not his own. Dr. Lin leans closer, fascinated. "These readings," she murmurs, "they don't belong to you." Elias's pulse quickens. Then whose are they? The silence that follows is heavier than truth itself. Later, in the quiet of her office, Dr. Lin reviews the data. Waveforms, looping like mirrored echoes. She calls Elias in. "Your brain patterns match another patient who died 2 years ago," she says, turning the screen toward him. A woman's neural scan glows faintly, identical to his. Her name was Mira. Elias stares at the image, feeling the air drain from the room. The name hums inside him like déjà vu, pulling threads of forgotten memories. He touches the screen where her name flickers. "I've heard her voice," he whispers. Dr. Lin leans forward, eyes sharp. Then she's not gone. That night, Elias dreams again, but this time, he isn't alone. He stands in a vast empty room where walls breathe and ripple like water. A woman's silhouette appears before him, her voice the same whisper from the wreck. "You keep trying to find meaning," she says, "but meaning is what you left behind." Elias reaches toward her, desperate to see her face, but his hand passes through smoke. "Who are you?" he demands. Her answer cuts through the silence. "Who are you?" Elias wakes in a cold sweat, rushing to Dr. Lin's lab before dawn. "I saw her," he blurts. "Mira. She spoke to me." Dr. Lin studies him, torn between disbelief and intrigue. She turns to the monitor and begins typing. "If her consciousness imprinted onto yours," she says, "then every question you ask could erase more of you." Elias stares at his trembling hands. "And if I stop asking?" She looks up, eyes reflecting quiet sorrow. "Then you'll never know who's really living your life." Elias wanders through the city's forgotten quarter. Alleys where walls sweat with rain and time. He finds Jonas Hale in a dim cafe that smells of burnt coffee and regret. The man looks up before Elias speaks, as though he's been waiting. "You're the one who came back," Jonas says, voice heavy with disbelief. Elias sits opposite him, the table between them reflecting both faces like a fractured mirror. Jonas once preached faith, but now his words carry the weight of disillusion. "You think there's meaning in what happened to you?" he asks. "Meaning is just memory wearing a disguise." Elias's silence answers for him. Jonas leads Elias to an abandoned chapel by the pier. Its stained glass broken, its altar swallowed by dust. He speaks of near-death visions, of countless souls who saw the same light but never returned. "You didn't escape death," Jonas mutters. "You carried a piece of it back." Elias runs his fingers over a cracked pew, feeling the splinters draw blood. The sound of distant waves echoes through the hollow nave. Jonas lights a single candle, its flame trembling. "If you want to see truth," he says, "stop looking at the living." Jonas tells Elias about Mira, a patient he once counseled years ago before she vanished. "She believed she could speak to the other side," he says quietly. "Said death was only a door." Elias' heart races. He shows Jonas the photograph from the crash, the torn one. Jonas studies it under the candle's glow, eyes widening. "That's her," he whispers. "You're holding her memory." Elias feels the ground tilt beneath him. "If she's inside me," he says, "then what am I?" Jonas looks away, murmuring, "A mirror that's begun to forget its reflection." Later, Elias stands before a mirror in a public restroom, hands trembling as water drips from the faucet. His reflection doesn't move when he does. The lights flicker, and for a heartbeat, another face replaces his. Mira's. Her eyes meet his through the glass, filled with sorrow and calm. "You asked for truth," she whispers. But truth doesn't keep you whole. He touches the glass. It ripples under his fingertips like liquid. A single tear escapes down his cheek, though in the mirror, she smiles. Elias returns to Dr. Lin's lab, face pale, voice trembling. I saw her. He insists. She's real. She's inside the mirror. Dr. Lin listens quietly, her pen motionless. The mind projects what it cannot accept, she says softly, but her gaze shifts toward the dark glass of the monitor, where for a moment, faint but unmistakable, a woman's reflection stands behind Elias, watching. The monitor flickers. Dr. Lin's voice drops to a whisper. Elias, she's watching us. The days blur. Elias stops sleeping. When he closes his eyes, he sees Mira's world bleeding into his. Her streets, her memories, her pain. He can't tell which moments belong to him anymore. Dr. Lin monitors his brain activity as spikes of light dance like storms across the screen. You're losing boundaries, she says, voice tight. Your mind's merging with hers. Elias stares at the screen, hypnotized by the flickering lines that pulse like veins. Then maybe that's the truth, he whispers. Maybe we were never meant to be separate. He begins to see Mira everywhere. Reflections, windows, shadows. She whispers his name in crowded streets, guiding him toward places he's never been. He follows her to a half-burned building by the harbor. Inside, the walls are covered with photos of faces, hundreds of them, including his own. These are the ones who searched, her voice says. The ones who asked too much. His hands shake as he touches his photo. The ink begins to fade under his fingers until only the outline remains. Dr. Lin confronts Elias, fear creeping into her composure. You're unraveling, she says. If she keeps merging, your identity will collapse. Elias laughs softly, a sound more weary than mad. Maybe that's the point. Maybe we were never meant to be one person at all. She grips his arm, desperate. You're dying, Elias. He looks at her with calm clarity. Or waking up. Night falls. Elias walks through the city, every street dissolving into fragments, rain turning to sand. Buildings bending like smoke. The world bends inward, as if folding him into itself. Mira walks beside him now, solid and real, her hand brushing his. You wanted meaning, she says softly. You found the door. Around them. Time collapses. Lights flicker. People vanish mid-step. Echoes stretch into eternity. Where does it end? He asks. Her eyes shine with quiet sorrow. When you stop needing it too. Elias and Mira stand at the edge of the pier where sea and sky become one endless blur. The wind howls, carrying whispers of both their voices overlapping. If I let go, he says, what happens to me? Mira steps closer, her face filled with both love and grief. Then you'll finally see what you were meant to be. The ocean begins to glow beneath them, reflecting their silhouettes as one. Elias closes his eyes. For the first time, he isn't afraid. Elias wakes in the lab again. Or what's left of it. The walls breathe. Machines hum like heartbeats, and Dr. Lin's voice sounds distant, as if underwater. You're between states, she says softly. Your brain is shutting down. He looks around at flickering monitors showing two overlapping waveforms, his and Mira's. If I stop fighting, she'll take over, he murmurs. Dr. Lin hesitates. Or maybe she's what's keeping you alive. Elias closes his eyes, feeling her presence within him like warmth. Then, maybe that's not dying, he whispers. Maybe that's remembering. In the haze of half-consciousness, Mira appears before him once more, clearer than ever. Her voice carries the softness of rain. You've been searching for meaning in a story that already ended, she says. But endings are only beginnings that forgot their purpose. Elias reaches toward her, their fingers barely touching. What happens if I choose you? She smiles faintly. Then you'll stop being a question. The room fades around them, replaced by an endless horizon of light. Dr. Lin watches the monitors spike violently. She calls his name, her voice trembling. Elias, stay with me. His pulse flatlines for a moment, then flickers back. He's crossing, she whispers. He's choosing. She stands frozen between science and faith, realizing she no longer knows which side she's on. As she leans closer, she hears two voices speaking through the static. Elias and Mira, perfectly in sync, saying one thing. We are. Inside the light, Elias feels everything at once, every memory, every emotion, every life. Mira stands beside him, eyes full of quiet wonder. This is what meaning looks like, she says. Connection. Around them swirl countless reflections, moments of love, pain, laughter, loss, all merging into one vast rhythm. He feels himself dissolve, not vanishing, but expand. If I go, he says softly, will anyone remember me? Mira touches his hand. You'll remember yourself. In everyone. Dr. Lin sits alone in the silent lab. Monitors gone dark except for one steady pulse. She replays Elias's final words from the recording he left her. Meaning isn't found. It's made. Every question, every breath, every mistake builds the truth we live in. She closes her eyes, tears cutting through the glow of the screen. Outside, dawn breaks over the city. In the reflection of the monitor, Mira's faint silhouette lingers, smiling. Before fading with the light, Elias opens his eyes and finds himself standing in a world made of light and memory. The air feels weightless. Sound moves like thought. Mira stands beside him, her presence radiant but grounded. Around them stretch endless reflections, countless versions of Elias living different lives, making different choices. This is consciousness, Mira says. Every soul, every heartbeat, every thought connected. No heaven, no end, no end. Only continuation. Elias turns slowly, overwhelmed. So there's no meaning after death? She smiles gently. There's only what you bring with you. He walks through the sea of light, touching fragments of other lives. Moments of love, cruelty, forgiveness. Each contact floods him with emotion not his own. He realizes he's part of every memory ever made, every heartbeat ever felt. Mira walks with him in silence, watching his awe. You thought you were one story, she says softly, but you were always all of them. Elias closes his eyes, tears of light slipping down his cheeks. Then what was I searching for? She whispers. Yourself. Mira stops at a place where the lights dim, showing darkness between the threads. This is where forgetting begins, she says. It's where souls return to silence. Elias stares into the void. Not empty, but infinite. What happens if I fall into it? He asks. You'll cease to be what you were, she says. But you'll become what everything else is. He looks back at her, fear softening into acceptance. Then maybe that's what I was looking for. She smiles, proud and sad. Then go. Elias steps forward, his body dissolving into waves of light. Mira watches, her eyes glistening. His voice fades but echoes through the space. Tell her, I found it. As he vanishes, the ocean of consciousness pulses brighter, absorbing him like dawn, swallowing night. Mira closes her eyes, whispering words that sound like both goodbye and welcome. You were never lost, Elias. You were just remembering the way home. The void hums softly, alive with his presence. Dr. Lin sits by the ocean at dawn, Elias's recorder in her hand. She plays his final message. The truth isn't what we find after life. It's what we build while we live. The wind carries his words into the rising light. She looks out across the water, where the horizon gleams faintly with golden mist. For a moment she thinks she sees two figures standing on the waves. One man, one woman, made of light. Then they vanish, leaving only the reflection of the sun on the sea. The world moves on. The city wakes beneath a new sunrise, indifferent yet changed. Dr. Lin walks through the hospital corridors, each step echoing like memory. She passes strangers whose faces feel almost familiar, echoes of Elias, fragments of Mira. She pauses by a mirror, seeing both her reflection and a fleeting shimmer of light behind her shoulder. A whisper fills her thoughts. Not heard but felt. You don't lose people. You carry them differently. She smiles faintly, knowing what she can never prove, that meaning lies in the spaces we leave behind. At a small cafe overlooking the harbor, Dr. Lin reads Elias's old notebook, pages filled with sketches, thoughts, and fragmented questions. Why me? What does living mean? She turns to the last page. The handwriting trails off into a single line. To live is to remember that nothing stays, and that's the beauty of it. She closes the book, setting it on the table beside a cooling cup of coffee. Outside, the tide pulls away from the shore, taking the night with it. Later that evening, she walks along the same pier where Elias once stood. The city lights hum behind her, but she faces the horizon, where the ocean meets the fading sun. She whispers his name once, not for reply, but for release. The wind carries it softly across the waves. For the first time, she feels peace. Not from answers, but from the quiet truth that some questions are meant to stay open. Behind her, the sea glows faintly, as though listening. Night deepens. The wind quiets. Somewhere in the distance, a child's laughter echoes, bright, alive, fleeting. Dr. Lin closes her eyes and listens, realizing it's not about understanding life, but feeling it. The sound fades into the rhythm of waves, and in that rhythm she hears Elias's voice one last time, carried through the sea, like a heartbeat. The meaning of life is that it ends. She exhales softly, tears shining under starlight, and that's what makes it precious, she whispers. As dawn breaks once more, the world breathes in silence. The sea, the sky, the city, all glimmer with fragile peace. In that stillness, Elias's voice returns, not as a memory, but as a truth. We don't find meaning. We create it, moment by moment, breath by breath. His words echo through the world unseen, passing through faces, hearts, and mirrors. The light widens, dissolving everything into calm gold. The story ends where it began, in the quiet between life and death, where existence finally understands itself.